Welcome to the evening edition of Today in Prophecy Daily News in 15 minutes or less. I hope you're enjoying this new time slot, 5 o'clock here on the West Coast. Hey, we all woke up today here in the United States. This news, exploding pagers. Here's this video taking place in the marketplace. Watch it. Did you see that? So what happened was, certainly most of you have been updated by now, but these pagers were directly linked to, given to these Hamas terrorists. So Israel knew exactly who they were. Perhaps you caught the podcast that we did a few hours ago where it was live with myself. David Tal had joined me, and also John Howler. It went into how that happened. Mossad was involved with making sure all of those pagers got into the hands of Hezbollah people. And so you look at that, and that is indeed what has happened as these pagers blew people up, blew body parts up. Some were actually killed, but it's very strategic. And but this is interesting as we watch all the different dynamics that have been going on over there in Israel and how Israel is taking care of business. I have more to say on this in a few more minutes, but let me go here because there's different news going on and we can be distracted from some of those things. We'll get back to Hezbollah and what happened in a few more minutes. But check this out. This next article, Omnipresent AI Cameras will ensure good behavior, says Larry Ellison, the co-founder of Oracle. We're going to have supervision, friends. This is very troubling. Omnipresent AI cameras. And for those of you who have been studying Bible prophecy for a long time, you probably come across this understanding that the goal of Antichrist, or Satan, through his person Antichrist and the false prophet, is going to seem like they are God. Omnipresent, omnipotent, having all power, being everywhere at the same time, omniscient, having all knowledge. Well, AI, especially with quantum computing, is going to allow them to achieve that. But who do the characteristics of omnipresence, omniscience, and who do these characteristics belong to? Omnipotent, all-powerful, all-knowing, everywhere, belong to God himself. So Satan wants to be like God. Isaiah chapter 14, we read how the devil himself, Lucifer, said, I will be like the Most High. I will ascend to the heavens. I will be like God. Well, through technology, it's going to cause people to think Antichrist is the Messiah. It's going to cause people to think he is all-knowing. He is all-powerful. He is everywhere. No one can escape this system. They're building a system like that. So as you look at this is Satan imitating God, trying to. He wants people to worship him through Antichrist. And as I look at something like this article, as co-founder of Oracle, Larry Ellison says, is coming and it will ensure good behavior. It'll ensure behavior of these globalists who are putting together the system. Remember what the Bible says. There's going to be 10 kings who build the system and they give their power and authority to the beast after the system is built. It's going to ensure that your behavior goes along with this beast system that is built. One of the real joys of doing a daily newscast like this, daily news in 15 minutes or less, is it is called Today in Prophecy because we're connecting the Bible with things that we see going on, saying, hey, pay attention to what's going on. These things are not a coincidence. Moving on, check this out. Israel sentences World Vision ex-Gaza chief to 12 years for aiding Hamas. All right, so World Vision has been called out lately. I remember calling out World Vision on some other things 10 years ago, but you look at this, and the accusations started coming that World Vision was involved. We know UNRWA, the UN, is involved with aiding and abetting Hamas, and even some Hamas agents involved with the UN. And people are trying to deny it, say it's not true. Well, here it is, World Vision, one of the well-known Christian organizations, aiding and abetting Hamas. This is awful, this is wicked. listen, pay attention to what is going on. I'm sure they're going to try and backtrack this, spin it any way that they can, because they don't want to lose that private funding from people who donate to them. But friends, things like this is awful. Again, this is World Vision, one of the largest Christian organizations in the world. Wow, aiding and abetting Hamas. Here's this article out of Israel Today. Iran's ring of fire around Israel is tightening. The Houthis in Yemen, Hezbollah in Lebanon, Shiite militias in Syria, Shiite militias in Iraq, the terrorist organizations in Gaza, Judea, and Samaria. Right there, that's just 7 of them. For years, Iran has been equipping its allies for this very showdown. That's what they're doing. Again, I would encourage you, check out the live podcast I had today with David Tall and John Haller. Hopefully we'll be doing something like this. We'll have another live podcast tomorrow, Wednesday. Could be me doing your live questions. I might be able to have David or John back on too. But look at this. Iran going for the showdown, tightening the ring of fire around Israel. And man, but you know this, God is on the throne. Listen, Israel is always going to exist. The devil's always wanted to eliminate Israel. It's not going to happen. Jesus himself said in Matthew 23, you will not see me again until you say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. In other words, you'll see me, you're going to call out for me, I'm going to come to your rescue. But Israel, you have not just the immediate threats from the people that are surrounding Israel, but you also have the propaganda against Israel that is worldwide. It is global. It seems like most of that propaganda comes from right here in the United States of America. How do you enter into this battle to be on God's side in this? Listen, you can share a program like this, like, subscribe, and share. Helps us to combat the lies with the truth. It helps you to enter and say, what can I do? I can share this program because we need to get the truth out. This is from the Fort Bend Herald. Israel Prime Minister, that'd be Netanyahu, adds war goal of allowing northern residents to return home. If you're familiar with what's been going on in Israel since October 7, and then as things started escalating up north, the northern area of Israel, up between the Golan Heights and the border there and the Sea of Galilee, those residents up north, and think of Golan Heights, Mount Bental, Hagoshrim, Kiryat Shmona, you start thinking of that, the Tel Dan area, if you've been to Israel before, where you have Jeroboam, the temple that he had built, if you visited those areas. So there's areas up there, the evacuations have been going on. And so far, 80,000 people have been evacuated. We've met some of the people that have been evacuated. They want to get back home. Now the threat is even more are going to be evacuated because the threat in the Golan Heights is getting more severe because, as we just read, the ring of fire that's tightening around Israel, especially up in the northern part. And then with everything going on right now, is it escalating in Israel. Okay, back to this. Let's go back to the cell phones. So again, we woke up to videos like the one that I showed you earlier. But Hezbollah has been hit by a wave of exploding pagers in Lebanon and Syria. Also, one of the leaders in Iran, his pager blew up. What's that mean? Well, it was these pagers were given specifically to Hezbollah operatives. So as we start looking at this, going, what in the world is going on? Well, it appears that Mossad had been involved in getting a hold of those pagers before they are distributed to the Hamas terrorists. So, the Hezbollah terrorists. Once the Hezbollah terrorists got all these, Israel knew who they were, and all of them were able to explode. How did that happen? So you start, this just takes the war to a different, it changes the dynamic. So now what's going to happen if you start asking yourself, if you're a terrorist, you're talking on your phone or something like that. You got your earpiece in, you got your phone, your pager on you. You'd be thinking, okay, well over 1,000 people have now been confirmed to be hit with this. Some have died. You start thinking, hey, wait a minute, I don't want this communication device on me. I don't want it near me. Now I know I don't know what's involved in it. This thing could explode. Israel's got my name. You think of all the different things that Israel has done over the last few months to single out individuals in areas that just seemed impossible for them to be had, and there they were. So Israel's attacked in all these different ways. It puts everybody on their heels that wants to come against Israel, realizing, they've got our number. What will this do to the Houthis down in Yemen who fired the missile just over the weekend? So you start looking at dynamics. What about the different people with Hamas, not just Hezbollah? Changes the dynamic, plus it's going to affect their communication, because if nobody's going to want a cell phone now, they're going to not want their pagers. How are they going to communicate? So it's going to be interesting to see how all of this develops. Will Iran say, hey, we've got to go to a much bigger war than what we have done so far? Will they do something like that before the election? Election's coming up November 5. Will they just wait and see what happens? No doubt, if Trump gets elected, Trump's going to support Israel. If Kamala gets elected, Israel's going to be in a world of hurt with not being able to have ammunition and things like that. I mean, you can tell which direction that's going to go. So, but wow, you look at this. This was, as David Towle said in the program earlier today. I encourage you to watch it. One of the most strategic. This is the most humanitarian wars that's been fought, or just this one battle alone with these pagers blowing up. Blew up certain people. It attacks certain people. Terrorists, singled them out. Wow, that's never been done before. Fascinating. Well, check this out. Let's move over to Trump because we have this whole, listen, FBI expert tells CNN that the plot against Trump was likely inspired by the media, incited by Trump-Hitler comparisons. Folks, we've been looking at that. Said that just yesterday. Listen, I have a lot more to say, but I'm going to be updating you with a lot more news coming, listen, tomorrow, 5 p.m. Also, join me 2 p.m. tomorrow. We'll have a live stream. It's going to be everywhere. I'll take your questions. I might have David on with me, or even John Haller. Make sure that you join me. God bless you guys. Thank you for joining me for Today in Prophecy, daily news in 15 minutes or less. Shalom.